The Cuban boa, Chilabothrus angulifer, is a large and fascinating snake species native to Cuba and its surrounding islands. Known for its impressive size, strength, and striking appearance, the Cuban boa is a remarkable predator that has captured the interest of biologists, conservationists, and wildlife enthusiasts alike. Below, I've compiled a collection of interesting facts about this captivating species. The Cuban boa is endemic to Cuba, primarily found in the island's forests, savannas, and coastal regions. It is also D. This species is one of the largest native snakes in Cuba, growing to impressive lengths of up to 13 feet, though typical adults measure around 6–10 feet. The Cuban boa has a robust and muscular body, characterized by a rich dark brown or reddish-brown coloration with lighter markings or a speckled pattern along its back. Like other boids, the Cuban boa is a constrictor, meaning it kills its prey by wrapping around it and tightening until the prey suffocates. This makes it an efficient and powerful predator. Diet. The Cuban boa's diet is varied, consisting of small mammals, birds, and reptiles. It has also been known to prey on smaller reptiles like lizards, and sometimes even small crocodiles, using its strength to overpower them. Cuban boas are ovoviviparous, meaning they give birth to live young. A single female can give birth to a clutch of up to 20 baby snakes in one litter. In the wild, Cuban boas can live up to 20 years, although their lifespan is often shorter in captivity due to factors such as diet and habitat constraints. These snakes are primarily nocturnal, hunting at night and retreating to secluded areas during the day to conserve energy and stay hidden from prey. Cuban boas are known to be territorial, often marking and defending specific areas in their habitats. They prefer dense, tropical forests, but can also be found in coastal areas where they make their dens in rocky crevices, caves, or hollow trees. Cuban boas are excellent climbers and are often found in trees, where they prey on birds and small mammals. Their prehensile tail helps them secure themselves while navigating tree branches. The Cuban boa is considered a species of concern due to habitat loss and the introduction of non-native species like mongooses and rats, which have affected its food sources and survival rate. Its hunting behavior is predominantly nocturnal, using its keen sense of smell and heat detection capabilities to locate prey in the dark. Cuban boas, like other snakes, rely heavily on their sense of smell, which is aided by their forked tongues. They also have infrared sensitive pits on their heads that detect the body heat of their prey. Cuban boas are generally not aggressive toward humans, preferring to retreat when threatened. However, if cornered, they can strike defensively. The Cuban boa is a significant part of Cuban wildlife and has appeared in local folklore and cultural symbolism as a powerful creature. While capable of overpowering large prey, Cuban boas typically prefer smaller animals. They can swallow prey much larger than their head by dislocating their jaw, a common trait among constrictors. Though they are apex predators in their habitat, Cuban boas are occasionally preyed upon by larger carnivores or birds of prey, particularly when they are young. The Cuban boa is non-venomous and relies entirely on its strength and constriction to subdue prey. As a species at risk, conservation programs in Cuba aim to protect the natural habitat of the Cuban boa, as well as reduce threats from invasive species. In Cuban folklore, the Cuban boa is often associated with strength and power. It has been portrayed as a symbol of endurance and resilience. Like all reptiles, Cuban boas are ectothermic, meaning they rely on external heat sources to regulate their body temperature. Deforestation and urbanization in Cuba have led to the loss of critical habitats for Cuban boas, making them more vulnerable to extinction. Non-native species, particularly rats, mongooses, and wild pigs, pose a significant threat to the Cuban boa, as they compete for food and disrupt the local ecosystem. Cuban boas are solitary creatures, only coming together during mating seasons. They are not known to exhibit complex social behaviors. Unlike most snakes that lay eggs, the Cuban boa's live births allow the species to reproduce in environments where egg-laying may not be ideal. The snake's coloration provides effective camouflage against the tree branches and forest floors of its native habitat, making it a stealthy predator. While not known for speed, Cuban boas are incredibly strong. They use their muscular bodies to overpower their prey rather than chase them down. Cuban boas are often found sunning themselves to regulate their body temperature, especially in the cooler early mornings or evenings. Like other snakes, Cuban boas communicate through body language and scent marking, especially during mating seasons. Cuban boa litters typically consist of 10 to 20 offspring, although the number may vary depending on the age and size of the female. The Cuban boa has a robust immune system, which helps it fight off infections and diseases that might otherwise be detrimental in the wild. The Cuban boa uses ambush tactics when hunting. It will often remain motionless and wait for prey to come within striking range before constricting it. As a species native only to Cuba, the Cuban boa faces challenges from the introduction of invasive predators and habitat destruction. The Cuban boa has been the subject of various biological and conservation studies due to its unique reproductive strategies and adaptations to life in dense, tropical environments. Mating often occurs during the cooler months, with males using scent trails to locate females. The male then engages in a ritual of rubbing and entwining with the female to facilitate reproduction. The Cuban boa is often featured in stories and myths in Cuban culture, where it is viewed as a creature of power and mysticism. The breeding season for Cuban boas typically occurs in late spring to early summer, with gestation lasting several months before the female gives birth. While adult Cuban boas are not frequently targeted by predators, younger snakes are more vulnerable to birds of prey and other large carnivores. Cuban boas often rely on their camouflage and cryptic behavior to avoid detection by predators, making them difficult to spot in the wild. In traditional Cuban medicine, parts of the Cuban boa are believed to have healing properties, though this practice is not scientifically validated. Cuban boas are opportunistic feeders, able to consume anything from small rodents to birds and reptiles depending on availability. Despite being primarily carnivorous, Cuban boas have been known to feed on a variety of prey, showcasing their adaptability in different ecosystems. As a cold-blooded animal, the Cuban boa can survive on relatively low energy inputs, hunting only when necessary, and conserving energy by remaining still for long periods. There are ongoing collaborations between local conservation groups, the Cuban government, and international wildlife organizations to protect the Cuban boa and its habitat. The Cuban boa has faced threats from human activities such as hunting, poaching, and habitat destruction due to the expansion of agricultural lands and tourism. Because of its elusive nature and the fact that it inhabits remote and forested areas, Cuban boas are rarely seen by humans. Cuban boas are known to have relatively fast wound healing abilities, allowing them to recover from injuries sustained while hunting or fighting. In local Cuban legends, the Cuban boa is often revered as a creature that brings both strength and protection, a symbol of survival in harsh environments. The Cuban boa is often featured in ecotourism, with natural reserves and parks offering opportunities to spot these magnificent creatures in their natural habitats. After birth, the young Cuban boas are independent and must fend for themselves. They rely on their natural instincts for survival from the moment they are born. Now, though Cuban boas do not vocalize in the same way mammals do, they may hiss when threatened, using sound as a defensive mechanism. Please give this video a thumbs up. Leave your comments down below and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.